Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your spring break. We're gonna kick it off with some class notes. So moving on to 9.7, the good news is it's very similar to 9.3. We just have to add the additional step of deciding if we need to use a dotted or a solid line and shading on the graph because these are inequalities. So we're graphing quadratic inequalities, which is 9.7. Today is the 30th of March. I like to list my A, B, and C, but the main thing is find that vertex using that formula, opposite b over 2a, y coordinate by plugging back into the original, put the vertex in the middle of your table, and then adjust your x values off of that, complete your table, plot those points, think about the inequalities, and we've done this several times now, so we should know when to use dotted and when to use solid, and we should know about shading above and below. And I'll explain more once I get into the examples. So let's move into example 1, which looks like the following. Y is less than 3x squared plus 6x minus 3. Let's just take care of solid dotted right away. So seeing no solid line underneath, I know I'm going to use dotted. Because it's less than, that would mean I'm going to shade below. Less is below. Greater than or equal to is above. A is always with the x squared piece, so my A is 3. B is always with the linear piece, x to the first, so B is 6. And C is the constant, and so that's just no variable with it, which is -3. Always take the signs in front. So x coordinate of the vertex, ready to begin this piece, opposite b over 2a. Well, if b is 6, the opposite of that is -6 over 2 times a, and I see a is 3. So I'm saying -6 over 6, which is a -1. Halfway done with my vertex, have to find the y coordinate. Second part in the ordered pair is the y. We go to the original and we plug in. Y is 3 times a -1 squared plus 6 times a -1 minus 3. Hard part is here, remembering order of operations, we have to do the squared piece first. A negative squared becomes a positive. So we end up with 3 times 1. Here we can multiply to get a -6, and the -3 will come down. 3 times 1 is 3, so I end up with 3 minus 6 minus 3. 3 minus 6 is a -3. -3 and a -3 is a -6. Add and keep, so -6. So my vertex goes in the middle of my table, and my vertex is -1, -6. Then I think of my number line, and I think of smaller than -1, and I can clearly see right here on my coordinate plane that I've started to prep for the graph is going to be -2 and -3. Doing this will allow me that symmetry piece where these y values will be the same and these y values will be the same. Bigger than -1 is 0 and 1. We said the shortcut is 0 is in your table. Across from the 0 goes the C value. What's C in this case? C is -3. So across from 0, I can put -3. And if I put -3 there, across from -2, I also put a -3. Now I choose, do I want to plug in 1 or -3? For me, it's easier to plug in a 1. Where do I go? Back to the original. 3 times 1 squared plus 6 times 1 minus 3. 1 squared is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 6 minus 3. 6 and 3 is 9. 9 minus 3 is 6. When I plug in a 1, I get out a 6. That means if I were to plug in a -3, I would also get out a 6. My table is now complete, and I go to graph my points. The first point in my ordered pair, -3 to the left, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I put a point. 2 to the left and down 3. 1, 2, 3. 1 to the left and down 6. 0 down 3. And 1 up 6. Symmetry, symmetry. Equal distance apart, and my vertex, my lowest point. I connect my curve and make my smiley face the best that I can with one hand. And there it is, opening up. All right, moving into example 2. Example 2, here it is. So go back. I'm rushing. Dotted and below, remembering that these are inequalities. So I have to go back and erase some pieces on my graph because I need dotted. And then I need to think about shading. So shading below, I go to my parabola and remember we just go anywhere on the parabola. It doesn't matter where you go, and go down with your pencil. So switch to a different spot and go down with your pencil. Switch to a different spot, down with your pencil. Down with your pencil, down, 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 and you'll see that you'll be shading what looks like almost the outside of your parabola, but you should still think about above, below. So going to this one, seeing the inequality is greater than, no solid line underneath, so again I'm going to use dotted, and greater than means shade above, greater, up, above, right? So I will try my hardest not to forget about that this time. That's the new piece, right? We've done all of this the past 2 e-learning days that we've been working through this together. So my A value is -2, my B value is 4, and my C value is 1. The vertex, the x chord, is opposite B over 2A, opposite of 4, -4, over 2 times A, which is -2. So I end up with -4 over -4, which is a +1. Okay, Quinn, I need you to go away, please. Thank you. And so I'm going to find the y coordinate by plugging 1 back into the original. And so I get -2 times 1 squared plus 4 times 1 plus 1. 1 squared is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Again, I do this piece first. You heard me talk about this first. And then I multiply by the -2. So that's a -2. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1. So when I put these together, I get 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. My ordered pair, my vertex is 1, 3. Where does the vertex go? In the middle of the table, 1, 3. Again, I could look at my coordinate plane to also help me with what numbers are going to be smaller than 1. It's 0 and -1. What's going to be bigger than 1? 2 and 3. So I'm going to use 0, -1, 2, 3. The best part about 0 being in your table, across from it, you could take the shortcut, less work to show. Across from 0 is your C value. So going back to C, C is 1. I'm going to put a 1 here and a 1 here. Symmetry. Now I can either plug in -1 or 3 back into the original. I'm going to plug in -1 back into the original. If you don't like negatives, then you would plug in 3. So I have -2 times a -1 squared plus 4 times a -1 and plus 1. This is the original, but where the x's are, I replace the x's with either of these. Doesn't matter which one. I chose to do -1. A -1 squared is 1. 1 times a -2 is a -2. 4 times a -1 is a -4 plus 1. I'm seeing -6 plus 1. Different sign, subtract. I'm seeing -5. When I plugged in -1, I got out -5. Again, the symmetry piece, this will also be -5. I'm ready to plot these points, moving 1 to the left and down 5, and putting a point, staying at 0 and going up 1, 1 to the right and up 3, 2 to the right and up 1, 3 to the right and down 5. And then I connect. Before I connect, I think back of the beginning piece of where we said we need to use dotted. When I connect, dotted is our dashed, curving to make it look like a frown face because this is opening down. Above would mean go anywhere on your parabola, anywhere you want. So I'm going to stop randomly and I'm going to go up with my pencil. Above means up. Random again, going to another spot on my parabola and going up. Another spot on my parabola going up, 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 up. I see that I'm going to shade this region here. All right, that's it for today. Bye, guys.